stuck Diamond 4. Let's talk about why this happens. Let's go through the honesty checklist. I assume you've watched all the other parts of the series, and it's very important that you're honest with yourself. After we go through this checklist with some tips, we're going to focus on very detailed scenarios that will actually help you improve in terms of positioning and helping you out in Diamond rank. First on this list, can you land your shots? If not, you need to go practice your aim either in an aim trainer or in the test range overall to get comfortable with loadouts. I mean very comfortable. You need to not even doubt or question this level. If you doubt it, damage is important to win fights. It's assumed that everyone at this level can dish it out. If you cannot, it's going to result in you being hard stuck Diamond 4. Please be mindful, I don't exactly say win your ones. Putting yourself in a bad 1v1 scenario is not always ideal. This is all about team play. It means if you get caught out of position, there are other leading factors that could have helped you improve. If you're an absolute beast and a demon to where you can always win your ones, well, that puts you in an advantage. If you up your team play and you up your positioning, you're just naturally going to reach Masters or Predator, and if you're watching this video, these are just mostly helpful reminders. Know the maps. You need to have these maps memorized. If you don't understand the layout of an area, you have to go drop and explore it. Go do solo no-fills, record, and really evaluate the areas in terms of positioning. If you don't have the map committed to memory, that's going to result in hesitation, a lack of understanding of power positions, you're going to feel lost, you're going to lose your shot, and confidence, and you're going to be hard stuck Diamond 4. Legend choice. Remember, the ideal legend choice is one with outs, mobilities, or high reset potential. Remember everyone, this is not a tier list. This is based on utility provided to the squad outside of skill. If you choose a legend that provides less mobility or reset potential, you need to come to the team with better aim, damage output, map knowledge, team comms, or positional awareness. The ideal legends, as it will help you minimize losses to get out and rat, are Wraith to port in or use your tactical to get out, Gibraltar to create instant space and a potential fast res, Bloodhound for the ability for them to fight with information, with also their ultimate to get in and out quickly, Pathfinder to grapple in and out of a fight, Octane jump pad to push in and out with a tactical for fast repositioning, Valkyrie has powerful team repositioning and can get herself to height relatively quickly, Ashe has a fast instant in and out of a fight for the team to go in, and Horizon's mobility to provide height to the team if applicable. Remember, all the other legends can be amazing, but as we discuss in Platinum, be honest with your strengths and weaknesses. If you queue with randoms and you're playing Rampart, you have no ability to get your team out. You better have the best aim of the group or strong positional awareness. If you lack aim, your damage output won't stop enemy teams. If you lack positioning, you're going to get caught out and put your team in a 3v2 situation. You have to be better on these legends to really showcase to the squad their talents, such as hunkering down or using other unique utility that they have. Next up is minimize your losses. Due to the randomness of a battle royale, know when a fight is lost. Let me give an example. 2 teammates died with no damage done, and they ran in without you. It's unfortunate. You are then expected to do 600 damage if they all have purple armors and you potentially have blue armor. The odds are not in your favor. It's time to rotate out and get placement to lower the hit that round. Not much you could have done. It's okay, don't be upset, RNG can get the best of us. Even really good players can have rough rounds, so don't ever get upset with your teammates. At this level, everyone is trying. The next point is respect. Everyone is trying, but everyone at this level has to take everything up a notch, which is not easy. Maybe some seasons are easier than others, but if it was easy, we would all be the max rank. Even with easier seasons, you have to have a solid base. Do not get sloppy because something is easier. Practice how you want to play or perform. Here are some reminders before we delve into positioning. Loot quickly, know your loadouts, be fast, and see my Platinum video for a breakdown of how to loot efficiently. Don't waste your time window shopping. Reset quickly. The higher tier the lobby, the faster the third party. You need to heal up, prioritize shields first, grab an armor for a down teammate to swap from on a box to ensure the whole squad can fight. Next up, stick with your squad. The moment you feel isolated from your squad or you're further than 5 seconds away, you're potentially being caught out or losing because you can't help your squad mate. That's why high mobility legends can really shave down that time. If you're a legend with a lack of mobility, you need to be better with your squad to harness those strengths. Now, let's segue to some high level thoughts on when you push, what to do when you get caught out of position, when do you fight for a better positioning, and what happens if there's multiple teams, and what to do in the unlikely or actually likely scenario that you get third partied. What we're going to discuss in this portion of the video is when do you push. So let's say you find your opponent and you do a significant amount of damage. Let's say it's about 190. That is a clear sign for you to push. You can use your Legends utility and push forward, and now you have the major opportunity. And an even bigger scenario is, let's say you got the knock on your opponent. If you got the knock on your opponent, that's an even bigger sign to push forward. So damage output, and it's why it's so important to make sure that you have damage so you can make an effective push. If you don't, and they're dishing out damage back, then your opponent might push you. This is the rule of law. Now let us discuss when you have to understand when your positioning is bad. Let us say, since we flip scenarios here, that your only option is to really wide peek where you have the largest hitbox, and we know Gibraltar happens to have quite the large hitbox. If I look at my opponent here, you'll notice that only half of their body is peeking, and if they're really great at head glitching, which the head glitch is only seeing the opponent's head, you'll notice if their hitbox is quite small that it's much harder for you to hit them than it is for them to hit you. So what can you do in this scenario if your positioning is bad? If you go at this angle, you got a full hitbox. If you climb up top, you got a full hitbox. Even if you wide swing at this angle, you have a large hitbox. The only scenario that you can do is look for alternate positioning. You can rotate using your bubble to get up to height. You can queue up to a different angle. But if you get to a different angle, you now have the opportunity of height, and their hitbox now is much larger, and yours is infinitely smaller. This is how you get ideal positioning. You rotate to better angles. And of course, you have to keep in mind if the zone is getting smaller or the pressure situations that it's fighting for, what you need to actually fight for in terms of positioning. So let's discuss that next. Now, let us say the zone is pulling in an unideal situation where you happen to be on low ground. When do you fight for ideal positioning? Well, let's say you're caught in a position, you see that an opponent is located on the tower and the zone is pulling towards them. This is not an ideal scenario, but sometimes the zone will pull you out and it's just a very unfortunate circumstance. So what can you do? Well, you essentially, sometimes by dishing damage back, let's just say we're going to miss for this opportunity, but if you were to dish damage back and they were cracked and they do bat and heal, you can rotate underneath. Now, what you can utilize is Legend utility. So even if you do get the crack, pair it with damage. So let's say you did a little bit of damage and got 98 and they're batting. You can essentially set up a port, pop your Q to avoid damage, and now you're going to share this bottom part with them. You place the rift down below and your teammates are now ready to fight for that positioning. And then remember the conversation in terms of angles, in terms of positioning. What can you do if it's pulling here? Well, sometimes you will run into an unlikely scenario, but is way better than being caught out on the low ground. Fighting for ideal positioning is the best, and if you have other teams that are located here, let's say there's another team located here, that if you happen to win this fight, you're going to have the best positioning in the lobby. This is whenever you fight for ideal positioning, don't be afraid to fight for it if you know that it's going to net you a larger win. Because let's say you just cower and hide down there. The downside is you may not get as much RP than you would actually fighting for something. Yes, you're gambling potentially on losing the fight, but the win and output is going to be greater and you're going to be more knowledgeable and better for it. So let's segue to the next topic. Now let us say you're rotating to the ideal spot and the zone actually pulls towards that direction, but you happen to have a team that catches you out of position and angle. You'll notice that they're on height and they're already taking shots at you. What can you do? Well, this is where mobility and movement can actually help you strive and improve. So this is why you use like a tap strafe, and then you'll use that mobility to try to get away. Also, Legend utility is important, so using that bubble to push forward and then wait here, and then potentially deal out a bit of damage back to get them to back off and heal, and then use the alternate angle or alternate route to use this cover to get towards your ideal spot. If you take damage, it's okay. They weren't enough to knock you. If there's a Wraith, they can definitely use their tactical to pour it out. You can have a Pathfinder grapple away. You can have Horizon queue up, dish out a little bit of damage, and rotate out. Again, get creative in terms of if you get caught at a position, because it's going to happen a lot, and you may even have to use this to get out of a dodgy situation such as getting third-partied. So let's segue to the next topic. All right, let us say you were engaged in a fight and you did a significant amount of damage, but you noticed that there was another team nearby. What can you do in this scenario? Well, naturally what we need to do is try to get positioning and find an angle where you're safe and then get out of dodge. So let's say we got out of dodge and rotated the whole team, and now you have positioning to try to assess the situation. Maybe the other team will fight the team located here. Maybe they'll both focus you. Maybe you'll be able to catch one out located on the left. Maybe you'll be able to catch one located out on the right. But this is where mobility and repositioning is going to be really key. So if they chase you, at least you're all repositioned together, and now you have a higher likely scenario of winning that encounter. So it really comes to engaging a situation. Did you deal enough damage? If you're not dealing enough damage, maybe you're going to decide to rotate to zone. And rotation to zone is just as effective as important as deciding when do you actually engage and disengage. So this would be a potential disengage. Let's say if I wasn't able to dish out damage, let's say I missed all my shots, instead of hitting that target dummy, might just rotate to zone because no damage is being dealt and we're taking way too long. And if there was already two other teams in the mix of us here, another team, especially on Kings Canyon, on a smaller map, is most likely going to roll up and show up for the fourth party, the fifth party, and so forth. So taking better positioning and better angles is going to be more ideal, unless, let's say you happen to knock quite a few and you go in and clean up. But remember, you need to have that reset potential. Realize you need to go for armor swaps to get right back in a dodge, especially whenever it's necessary. So let's segue to the next topic again. Let's discuss what happens if you get 50-50'd. Let's say you immediately drop and you go for a weapon while the opponent goes for an armor, and let's say you don't land all your shots? Can you reconvene with your team? Do you need to disengage? Assess the situation. Can you get an armor? Does your armor look bad? Does it look good? Do you have the resources that you need? Do you know if there's another team that's located nearby? 50-50s are really rough, and sometimes you can't avoid them. Some teams are really power hungry for going for 50-50. Just identify quickly if you are able to win the scenario or if you're going to actually potentially lose the scenario, and if you need to rotate to your teammates or potentially rotate for more loot. I hope you found this video helpful. Remember, you need to improve with positioning, team play, damage output, and be honest in the area you lack most. When you improve in that area, you're going to push forward. There's always going to be randomness, but you need to minimize it through time and patience. No matter how good you are, there will not be so positive rounds where zone, loot, or team play does not work out in your favor. And it just means you have to put more time in. There's some players that require less time because they have a higher skill level when it comes to aim or all those categories that we discussed. It's what you do when you have these weaknesses that makes all the difference. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.